Hi, my name is Sarah Alvarez, and I, along with Caitlin Bueller and Jake Anderson, will be presenting to you today gonorrhea. Um, yeah, I'm in my minivan. It's the only free time I have at the moment and the only quiet space, so you'll have to excuse my scenery. I'll get started though. So I'm going to start with a case study that I got off of the cdc.org. It's about a 33-year-old male. His name is Robert Forbes. He went to the doctors complaining of purulent urethral discharge and pain for the past 3 days. Which means that he's been having some discharge coming out of his penis and pain as he has urinated the past 3 days. He's been having a new sexual partner. Her name is Laura, and they've been having unprotected sex for the past 3 weeks. Laura herself has no symptoms, but 3 weeks ago, Robert had intercourse with a woman in Vegas, and they had unprotected sex. But up to that point, Robert has had no past history of medical problems and had an HIV test the month before that came back negative. And so what ended up happening was that Robert Forbes got gonorrhea from his new from that woman in Vegas 3 weeks ago, and probably will be passing it on to Laura. So more of the story: don't have unprotected sex with random people in Vegas. But let's move on to the etiology of gonorrhea. The genus species name is Neisseria gonorrhea, and it is a gram-negative Diplococcus bacteria. So as you can tell from these pictures up here, these are examples of the diplococci, so the two spherical bacteria that are attached together. As for motility, gonorrhea has what we call twitching motility, and it occurs, as you can see from this lower picture, the bacteria, the diplococci gonorrhea, have these little fibers around them, and they're a type of pili. And so what will happen is that they'll like whip through, and the pili are all around the gonorrhea. So with multiple ones whipping at the same time, it looks like gonorrhea is twitching. So here's some additional information. So each year there's about 700,000 cases of gonorrhea. This information that I'm about to present was obtained through the CDC, WebMD, and this graph is from Wikipedia. So the highest number of cases each year occur in Africa and part of India. The next highest would be South America, Central America, Europe, and Russia. And the lowest number of cases each year occur in North America, China, Australia, and parts of Europe as well. But that's not to say that the US does not have a hefty number of cases of gonorrhea. So in 2010, the CDC reported about 300,000 cases that were reported, meaning that people went and received some treatment. They went to the doctors, were diagnosed with gonorrhea, and received treatment. So 300,000 alone in the US. And that doesn't even include the number of unreported cases each year, which we get about the 700,000 a year is the estimate, more or less. Out of those 300,000 cases in 2010, 24,000 of them that were women became infertile. Infertility will be caused by not being treated, not going and seeking treatment when people start showing the symptoms of gonorrhea, and that will cause infertility not only in women, but also in men. And receiving treatment will cause awareness and prevent further diagnosis of gonorrhea.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Bueller, and I am part of the Neisseria gonorrhea group. A little about me is I'm from San Antonio, Texas. I'm currently attending BYU, Idaho, in Rexburg, Idaho, and this will be my last semester. So trying to end it on a good note, and it's very exciting for me. But anyway, so for gonorrhea, I have the reservoir and the signs and symptoms of how this bacteria starts and how you can notice that you have it. So first off, the reservoir of gonorrhea is humans, which would make the most sense because with gonorrhea, you just know and you hear it started from humans, it's transmitted to humans, and whatnot. So, and then also for signs and symptoms, first off, the difference between the sign is something that you can physically see, and a symptom is more of something that you can feel. And I never really knew the difference between those two until I researched on it and discovered what the difference was. So I found that to be very interesting because usually I just refer to all of it as being a symptom. So anyway, so the signs of gonorrhea is it causes white, yellow, or green discharge from the genital areas. You can possibly get a fever, and you could also have bleeding from the genital areas. The symptoms of it is a burning sensation when urinating. There can be abdominal pain, anal itching, painful genitals, or soreness. So these are the signs and symptoms of gonorrhea and also the reservoir. I looked up some interesting facts about the disease, and one thing that I found out of the many things I found is women are more susceptible to contract the disease as compared to men, which I tried to research more on about that, but I'm not exactly sure why, so I found that to be very interesting. Another thing I found is, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, so the CDC, gonorrhea affects around 700,000 people every year. That is a large amount of people to be infected by the disease, so I found that to be interesting as well. Another thing I found is if a male contracts the disease, he is more prone to notice the symptoms over women, which I also found very interesting because if women are more prone to contracting disease, why is it a male can notice the symptoms more over women? I'm not exactly sure why, but that's something that I found. Also, gonorrhea is capable of affecting people of all ages and race. So anyone can contract the disease no matter how old you are, no matter what race you are. Any human being is able to contract this bacteria. So some more interesting facts that I found is if a pregnant woman is infected with gonorrhea, she could give the infection to her baby while the baby is passing through the birth canal during the delivery. That's something that I really found interesting is while a woman is giving birth to her baby and she has this disease or bacteria, she is prone to transferring the bacteria to her child. So that's a good warning sign to any woman who's pregnant and has this bacteria to definitely get it fixed and checked out before she delivers her child. Also, gonorrhea is ranked number 2 among the most commonly reported STDs in the United States by the CDC. I'm not sure what number 1 is, but I found that very interesting for gonorrhea to be ranked number 2 among the most commonly reported STDs in the United States. It's a very interesting fact. And then the last thing that I found is this bacteria is capable of spreading not only to the general genital area, it is capable of spreading to the rectum, eyes, throat, other organs, and body tissues that the body is capable of coming in contact with. So it's able to spread to other parts, not just to the genital area, no matter like where you're touching or whatnot. The body, like the bacteria, can't spread to any other organs in it or other parts of the body, which I found very interesting. And lastly, my citations for my interesting facts, just so you have a general idea of where I got these facts from. So that's it for my portion of this bacteria. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Jake Anderson, and today I'm going to talk to you about Neisseria gonorrhoeae, or commonly known as gonorrhea. I'm going to talk to you specifically about the transmission, prevention, and treatment for gonorrhea. Now, gonorrhea is an STD, or a sexually transmitted disease. It is transmitted through sexual contact from an infected person to an uninfected person. So this could be through vaginal, oral, or anal sex. Can also be passed through kissing, but is not as common. From what I've read, the person has to have a cut on their lip, and again, it's not as common, but it can happen. So you need to be careful. Can also be passed from mother to child during birth. So if a mother has gonorrhea, she can give it to her baby during the delivery. This could cause complications for the baby. It can cause blindness, and it also is pretty life-threatening for the baby. So mothers who have gonorrhea definitely need to get treated before delivery. So here is a picture I found online of a guy that's got gonorrhea. Personally, I don't think that's attractive at all. So I, definitely sexually refrain from that guy. Obviously, he's got a pretty severe case too. So prevention. Best prevention for gonorrhea is abstinence. So basically, if you follow the BYU Honor Code, BYU Idaho Honor Code, you're going to be safe from gonorrhea. Condoms also work pretty good. Other forms of birth control don't work at all. Really, condoms the only thing that works against gonorrhea or prevents against gonorrhea. Found these cool little things online. Flies spread diseases, so keep yours zipped. I thought that was pretty clever. Nice plug for abstinence. So treatment. Gonorrhea has the ability to develop resistance against antibiotics. So antibiotics such as penicillin and quinolones are no longer effective. The CDC came out and said, as of April 2007, that the quinolones are no longer a recommended treatment for gonorrhea in the U.S. So that wasn't that long ago. That was under 10 years ago. That quinolones became ineffective in treatment for gonorrhea. The current recommendation for treatment for gonorrhea is cephalosporin antibiotics. The most common cephalosporin prescribed is ceftriaxone. And that's a type of cephalosporin. So gonorrhea is generally associated with chlamydia. They found in cases where people have gonorrhea, they generally have chlamydia as well. So they'll couple drugs together to combat both of those bacterial infections. So they'll prescribe a cephalosporin along with azithromycin to fight against these bacteria. They have found that this coupling actually enhances treatment for gonorrhea. So it actually helps the cephalosporin in fighting against that gonorrhea. So cephalosporins are currently the antibiotic of choice in the United States, but in some Asian countries, cephalosporins actually gonorrhea has developed a resistance against cephalosporins. So you can imagine how dangerous it would be if some of those strands of gonorrhea were to come to the United States, that has a resistance against the drug of choice for healing that. Another thing, so you can imagine, in the next 10 or 20 years, we're going to have to come up with another antibiotic or find another antibiotic that fights gonorrhea. Cephalosporins will not be as useful anymore. Gonorrhea will be able to develop a resistance against those. Another thing to keep in mind is treatment does not heal the damage that's done from gonorrhea infections. In severe cases, if not treated, it could cause infertility. We mentioned earlier blindness in babies. So if you begin to take these antibiotics, it will not reverse those side effects. It'll just stop the infection that you have. So that's my section on gonorrhea. Thanks for watching.